Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon everyone who catches this party. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Ad Barak. Allahu, Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's time for a party. This party is called Through Difficulties. We get together 4 p.m., 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about entrepreneurship and service in your community. We have 10 special interest groups that we speak on. Each of them have their own specific day. We reserve Sunday for Q&A sessions. We are on live Sunday through Friday. Today's special interest group is SOCofDC. Each special interest group also has its own perspective. We are looking at the focus of organic marketing strategies. The perspective coming from SOCofDC is community cultivation. Through difficulties, we see the importance of setting goals to accomplish that help to build and maintain Yahweh's kingdom. We come from Yahweh Elohim, we shall return to Yahweh Elohim, and may Yahweh Elohim be pleased when we return. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. All praises to our source of sustenance and mercy. Ameen. In the last couple of days, we've been talking about Surah 2, Al-Baqarah. Today, inshallah, Adhan willing, we will finish Surah 2, Al-Baqarah. Surah 1 opens as Al-Fatiha, a prayer of supplication to our Father, our Creator, saying that we will follow your standards. Surah 2 is an answer to what are the standards. We've got one in YouTube land. Shalom to you, visitor. Bienvenido. Now we've got 15. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Ad Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon everyone who catches this party. We get together 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday through Friday, to talk about entrepreneurship and service in your community. We are making a main focus on ethics in entrepreneurship. If you are concerned about how to make a quick buck, this is not the place for you. We are here to discuss the actual standards, rules, and laws that are necessary in order for you to have a business that cannot be marked as a scam or one that is unrighteous. We discuss actually writing a physical resume that marks self-accountability. And then we discuss writing out an actual business proposal. This is not about just saying I got a name for a company and now I have a business. This is about the correct procedures of establishing your business and writing it out on the tablet so that anyone who sees it knows what your services are, and they can either become an apprentice, a partner, or at least a promoter of what you do. I'm going to play a little bit of music and wait for some familiar faces, and then we will get started because time is of the essence. My device is reminding me It's on its last leg. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do these broadcasts if I don't get support. I'm doing this message for you all, not for my ego.
From Jericho, everything falls after the start of war. The whole world is gathered in war. Without my peace, something that increase, rise there was no brothers understanding years later. The household name, 144,000, after servitude, their mission began. The prime direction being glorified God and burned up. They created his house. They came to the heaven. They released the promise of freedom and possession of land. Thereby Moses and Joshua scattered the spirit of man. 1,000 killed all that surrounded the Lord. With God and Abraham delivered. Spots in Jericho just appeared. Crumble Jericho, everything falls after the scar cord. The whole world is drowning in war. Numbers 144,000 in your call for the children to remain steadfast and respect to the truth. There's only one who verify the way, and that's the one who made our rules. There are 7 days for one week of 67 times to ask for. They thanks for our people. Never know your name, the one that's been a fourth call number. Today, the grandchildren of the wives of Jericho and Sunday. Name of my father's
Shalom Barak.
that's us. Shame some blind life to make you money.
Hashem Yehav Elohim. Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father's peace and mercy to all of those who have come to this party. Going from 3 to 2 in the room. Thank you all for your presence. We're going to get started momentarily. Looking for some familiar faces. I don't mind you coming in to visit. I don't mind you not saying a word. However, there are some people who are showing true support, and those are who I'm looking for. I know the camera is shifting around. It's because I'm getting a foundation set. This platform that I'm using is not like GoPro. Believe me. Ergonomic for your comfort. As I've said before, time is of the essence. We've been live for about 10 minutes now. I'm going to play one more song, then we're going to get started.
First year, president took over the White House. We making crowd riding down the snapping no crowd. Every time somebody go by and do a dollar, when you trying to catch me by 30 in that such like that. Ain't no sense to you. Ain't saying no shit. That's for real, man. It ain't no justice. No private citizen. Ain't no citizen. United States. You represent law, American. Matter of fact, we'll give a vote.
See you. Very excited to have you here.
Matter of fact, on the other side, I had gold in my sleep.
Ashimya Havarahim. Shalom Barakah. Allahu Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So we gonna take another round. Be there another chance. I'm a motherfucking G. I'm a nigga with my guns in the game. So you know we do this for us, so we still represent until my motherfucking bullet. If I had a trigger, you know I'm motherfucking bullet. Negro busy. Up in the stand, I'm out to get busy. Dead white lazy. You really going down here. I'm like a papa trying to be busy. My never head is crazy. I'm that motherfucking real. I'm never getting African, American, Indian, whatever you want to call it. I'm motherfucking real, motherfucking brother. I'm in the day and I tell no truth on the show. That's how you make it drop. Something like a family every your home for your weather, and your play, this is the next thing. Taking all of your metal and taking it and left it down there. Yeah, that's a new machine of you. Put up a flex if you don't have a solar panel. Yeah, right there, I thought it was something electric car. Steam transformers will be turned into electric car. Second drive at home, playing our own music, burn radio stations with our swarm. Second drive. Listen for the beautiful way we make it drop. We go to make it drop. And go and make
The title of today's party is Difficulties in Life. I'm going through a difficulty right now. I have one device. I usually have two. The device that I'm using is glitching and overheating and soon will not be able to be used at all. It's not glitching just because it's old. The activities that I do cause attention. I have sworn myself to be of service to Yahweh Elohim. I've found certain people who say that they are part of the kingdom as well. I expect support from those who I show support to. If you don't see a broadcast from me, that is because my device is not acting properly. There are certain people within the assembly who actually do have my address, and I have made it very available, as you can see underneath my chin right now, ways to actually contribute to my financial needs. Some cannot afford to give $1 or $5. However, there are some who will spend $100 elsewhere and then scratch their chin wondering why I'm putting out messages saying there's something we're supposed to be doing on the path. Life's difficulties. No matter what difficulties are thrown towards you, your work is to make sure that the message of the truth and righteousness and the divine path created by Yahweh Elohim is the way that we're supposed to live every day. That is what we're supposed to be doing every time we open our eyes and find that we are in a conscious body that has at least some kind of function to it. That's what we are charged to do. If you ask me what the meaning of life is, I will tell you, grow a tree. There's a seed within you that is your talent, your personal unique ability that no one else has. And you won't find that standing behind the counter at McDonald's. You won't find that flipping burgers on the grill. You won't find that signing up at a 9 to 5 somewhere, making sure that somebody else pays you on Friday or every 2 weeks or by salary. You won't find it there because you're going to be signed in doing things that have nothing to do with the kingdom of Yahweh Elohim. Yahweh Elohim does not have the patience to wait on you to decide. That's on you. And I'm telling you that because I know that I'm running out of patience. I'm a vessel of Yahweh Elohim. And for everybody who wants to sit back and enjoy a free message and then turn around and go do all kinds of things that are against that message, you're the same people. Since you ignore me, I will ignore you. That is plain and simple. Because that's what I was charged to do, and that's what my standard tells me to do. I don't go and find choice texts to read and say, oh, this is the way. I take it in all wholeheartedly, and that is the way. I've been charged to expose when people are actually falling short on the path and to reach out my hand. Fall back. It's very Tabata to have you here. It's been a while. Happy to see you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your family, and your circle. Thank you for being here. We spent the last couple of days reviewing Surah 2, Al-Baqarah. And in just a moment, I'm about to open up the Quran and go right back into it. We stopped at the mark for Juz 1 going into Juz 2. Juz are the actual real separations in the Quran. There are 30 separations for all of the surah that are in the Quran. There are 30 Juz, which are the sections that you would read during the 30-day period of fasting. That part is consecutive. Each day you have a Juz to read to consider while you are doing your worship and you are cleansing your body, preparing to live that type of life from now on. It's not something that you do for a week. It's not something that you do for a day. You go through a 30-day fast during a specific month, actually. It's the 9th month, and not by the Greco-Roman calendar. The most recent form of it is the Jalali calendar. Well, we know that's not the correct name because there's a J on it. The reason it's called the Jalali calendar is because it was brought back into effect. It was already there, already existed. There are people who were practicing Zoroastrianism who used the same calendar. The calendar was here before then. Those who practice Zoroastrianism, even though they got deities and everything else, they figured out the name of each month tells you what you're supposed to actually think about, what you're supposed to be considering, what you're supposed to be studying, what basis, what theme you're supposed to be using for worship. The 9th month is also the time period when the winter solstice passes. There's an autumn equinox, there's a spring equinox, there's a summer solstice. The winter solstice is the longest night of each year. That happens at, I won't say the same time each year. However, there's a marked day for it. There are people who have been watching the celestial bodies in the sky, the stars, the moon, and the sun. This calendar is based on all of those projections. All of them have to set into place at a certain point at a certain time. That never changes. The people who observe it are the ones who are marking it down to say, yeah, it still didn't change. So even though they call it the Jalali calendar, your frame of reference is solar, astral, lunar calendars. One way to find it quickly is to find the calendar that represents the astrological figures. It's not for you to try and read your zodiac. Aries is the first month. The Farsi calendar would tell you it's Fawardin. There are a lot of people who are jumping up on social media platforms trying to tell you how much they know. And then when you ask them where their information comes from, they tell you, well, I studied over here and I studied over there. My concern is not about your accredited resources, where you can do your references. My concern is, who is the curator of your references? If I wanted to go find this information, where could I go find it? If it comes from the Smithsonian, I cannot give it the same credit that I would for documents that are actually cataloged in Iran. because the Smithsonian does not have the same interests as those who catalog information in Iran. So, like I said, time is of the essence. I don't know how much longer this particular device will be working, and we've got a lot of ground to cover. We stopped at the end of the first Jews. We're going into the second Jews, and there are at least 110 more ayah, 120 more ayah, more lines, more verses in this one surah. According to my notes, there's at least 260. We stopped at around 140. So after I make wudu, I'm going to open up the Quran and we'll go from there. Hashem Alahim, Shalom Barak, Allahu Assalamu Alaikum, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon everyone who catches this message. Inshallah, Ya Allah, Yubarik al-Man, Wasahaba. Alhamdulillah, Subhanallah, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, Amin, Salam, Hashem. By the will of our Father, I ask blessings upon the family, members of the community, and the Sahaba. All praises to our Father, all thanks to our Father, our source of sustenance and mercy. Amen. Ausu billahi mina shaitana rajim. We seek the protection of our Father against shaitan and his evil ways while we travel along the divine path. Amen. We speak prayer in order to become closer in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanirrahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata allatina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim walad dallin. Amen. In the name of Allah, the compassionate, the merciful. All praise is for Allah, the Rabb of the worlds, the compassionate, the merciful, master of the day of judgment. You alone we worship, and you alone we call on for help. Guide us to the right way, the way of those whom you have favored, not of those who have earned your wrath, or of those who have lost the way. Amen. It is said that when we pass away, each of us will have a moment with the Creator. We will be asked, have you heard Al-Fatiha? For those who have been listening for the last 2 minutes, yes, you have. You've heard it in Farsi and you've heard it in English. Why do I say Farsi? Because Farsi is a tongue. Farsi means Persian. Arabic is not a tongue. Arabic or Arab means nomad as a culture. Those who were nomads living on the Farsi Peninsula, the Persian Peninsula, the nomads who ranged through the desert and the wilderness and everywhere else were called Bedouins, and there are other names besides that. When you hear a reference in this Quran talking about Arabs, it is talking about those who were in loose bands or clans or families who would actually strike up agreements with those who say that, yes, they are Muslim, and would make the agreements just in order for them to be able to make the trades or have any kind of conversation. That is what is being referenced in this Quran. When you hear a mention about Jews, Jews, that is talking about those who say they follow the standards of Yahweh, what some would call Judah or Yahudi faith. And those who follow the standards of Yahweh are also supposed to follow the standards of the Levite, and the Levite got their standards from Ibrahim, Musa, and Adam. Adam got his standards from Yahweh Elohim. This Quran was sent as a criterion against those who were giving false information about the divine path. Surah Al-Baqarah, period of revelation. Though it is a Madani surah revealed in Medina, it follows naturally a Makki surah revealed in Makkah, Al-Fatiha, which ended with the prayer, guide us to the right way. This surah begins with the answer to that prayer. This is the guidance you have asked for. The greater part of Al-Baqarah was revealed during the first 2 years of the Prophet's life at Medina. As is our custom, I'm going to read the last section where we stopped, and then I'm going to pick up into today's reading. Say, would you dispute with us concerning Allah, who is our Rabb and your Rabb as well? We shall be accountable to him for our deeds and for yours. To him alone we are devoted. Do you claim that Ibrahim, Ishmael, Ishaq, Yaqub, and their descendants were all Jews or Christians? Say, are you more knowledgeable than Allah? Who is more wicked than the one who hides the testimony received from Allah? Allah is not unaware of what you do. That was a nation who has already passed away. They are responsible for what they did, and you are responsible for what you do. You shall not be questioned about their deeds. When we go before the Creator is not going to be asking us, what did Ibrahim do? What did Moses do? They've already been accounted for with their own life. Now, what can you go before the Creator and say that you've been doing in the Creator's name? Oh, I've been arguing about what your name is. Did you help the sick, the poor, the widows, the orphans, the imprisoned? Did you help those who are traveling along the path? Oh no, I was arguing about when we should acknowledging you, and what are the holy days? Every day is holy because it was made by our Creator. It was made easy in life for us to just try to figure out at least keep one day holy every 7 days. However, every day is holy. And every day that you go about making sure you're being of service to Yahweh Elohim is a holy day because you are being a whole person, serving with your mind, your body, and your soul in tasks that show proof that the kingdom of heaven is here, not at hand. Okay, at hand. That means that the kingdom of heaven is right here. So every time I go and move and touch something, the kingdom of heaven is here. That means we're supposed to represent what that looks like. That doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to go visit the kingdom of heaven on Saturday, because right now I have to pay allegiance to the foreign land for the next 6 days. That does not make you a citizen in the kingdom at all. That makes you a visitor. Let's begin. The foolish will ask, why did they turn away from the Qibla, the direction in prayer, towards which they used to face? Say, east and west belongs to Allah. He guides whomever he wishes to the right way. If you want to argue about if you're supposed to bow to this temple or to that temple or whatever, those are constructions of mankind. If you're so busy worrying about which direction you're supposed to bow to according to some building that you can't even see, then you're worshiping the building. You're worshiping some ideal of mankind. Otherwise, we've already been told if two people are together and they are speaking about the will of Allah, Allah is present. If you decide at any time that you want to bow your head in order to revere our Creator, and you start speaking a prayer of thanks and a petition for sustenance and mercy as you go about your tasks, it doesn't matter bow your head because you are bowing to our Creator. All of creation belongs to our Creator, so it doesn't matter which direction you look. Our Creator resides within creation as well as outside of the bounds of creation. There is no building that you could possibly nod your head to that is going to be greater than creation itself. People had to carve out mountains in order to make some stones to build buildings. I have yet to see a building that is as tall or massive as a mountain. Not even the pyramids can compare to a mountain. We've made you a moderate ummah nation, so that you may testify against mankind and that your own Rasul may testify against you. We decreed your former Qibla only to distinguish those who are the real followers of the Rasul from those who would turn away from the faith. Qibla means direction of prayer. It was indeed a hard test, except for those whom Allah has guided. Allah does not want to make your faith fruitless. Allah is compassionate and merciful to mankind. So let me give you a reminder. Muhammad and those who professed Islam and to be Muslims were kicked out of Mecca, the place where they were supposed to bow down to and say, we are worshiping Allah. They got kicked out. They had to go to Medina. So are they going to actually turn around and still bow down and pray towards Mecca? the place where there's 99 idols in the office of Ibrahim, the place that's supposed to be the house of Allah. There's 99 idols in there, and the people are fighting against changing that back to one who is worthy of worship and is not a deity. Yeah, it's real fruitless to be running around arguing about a name and all of that when we actually have real life people suffering because of oppression. Many a time we have noticed you turning your face towards heaven. Now we shall make you turn towards a Qibla that will please you. Turn your face during Salah towards the Al-Masjid Al-Haram, Kaaba. That's the big black building in the midst of a courtyard at the Masjid in Mecca. I want you to know, same way they say that the Bible has been tampered with, so can they say that the Quran has been tampered with. However, we've been reading a few things. And I've also spoken before about, think about the name, okay? Think about the name. I'm going to say it again. Al-Masjid Al-Haram. Haram means unholy. We were reading a surah before that told us if there are people committing profane acts inside of a mosque, the profane people and that mosque are to be destroyed. You cannot erect a building and call it a masjid, a place of worship and learning, and then do practices against the standards of our Creator. If you do, it is an abomination. The word haram means unholy. So there's an issue even with the name. That means that if there were 99 deities being worshipped and people have been just walking all around it and talking about they praising Yahweh and all that, doesn't make it right. No matter how many people circle around it, no matter how many times. It had become corrupted. And there's actual specific directions that whoever is leading that needs to be destroyed, as well as the actual masjid itself needs to be destroyed. We need to start over. According to history, that did not happen. There's a difference when you actually read with context. When Muhammad came, he came between two dynasties. His family was part of the first dynasty. And when he started speaking the message of these revelations of the Surah of the Quran, it stopped that first dynasty, which upset those people. And they immediately started trying to start a new dynasty. Meaning that, yes, they attempted to take the life of Prophet Muhammad, Allahu Sallallahu Wasallam, our Father's peace upon him, all prophets before him, and all prophets afterwards. They attempted to take his life twice. He succeeded on the second time. Afterwards, Abu Bakr was elected to be Caliph, the next Imam. He did not jump up in front of people and say he wanted to be the Caliph. As a matter of fact, there was one named Umar who did. And Umar was not representing Muslims or Islam. He was representing the Quraysh. Abu Bakr's life was taken soon afterwards. And then the question became, well, should we use someone from the Prophet's lineage? The next one in line was Muhammad's nephew or grandson. I can't remember. I believe it was his nephew, Ali. They promptly took his life too and started a new dynasty. Ask an Ishmaelite about Levites. Don't ask your television. Many a time we have noticed you turning your face towards heaven. Now we shall make you turn towards a Qibla that will please you. Turn your face during Salah towards the Al-Masjid Al-Haram. Wherever you are, turn your face in that direction. Surely those were given the book know that it is the truth from their Rabb. Allah is not unaware of what they do. Even if you give every proof to the people of the book, they will not accept your Qibla, nor will you accept theirs. Neither of them, the Jews and the Christians, are the followers of each other's Qibla, meaning those who call themselves Jews don't even have one standard direction of prayer. Same with Christians. Ask them, who do they pray to? What do they pray to? And what are they praying about? Find out if it's the same standard. The accusers will come. Trying times will come. Difficulties will come. And when they do, look at them exactly as what they are. You know what your mission is. You know what the standard is. You know what tasks are at hand. So no matter what difficulty is presented in your face, after you did your prayer and said what you needed to say as far as give me strength and sustenance to make this happen, well, that's when you use the patience within yourself. The difficulty is just that, a minor irritant. You've been given faculties through your mentals, through your physical, and through your spiritual being to overcome the obstacles. The obstacles are to remind you that yes, you are on the path. No, it's not going to come to you easily. You have to show effort. And the more effort you show, the blessings will come in multitudes to you as your reward. If after all the knowledge you've been given, you yield to their desires, then surely you will be among the wrongdoers. Those to whom we have given the book, Jews and Christians, recognize this fact as they recognize their own children. Nevertheless, a group of them deliberately conceal the truth. The truth is from your Rabb. Therefore, you should never be among those who doubt. Everyone has a direction towards which one turns. Therefore, emulate one another in tabah deeds. Wherever you are, Allah will bring all of you together. Allah has power over all things. From wherever you come forth, turn your face during Salah towards the Al-Masjid Al-Haram. This is in fact a commandment from your Rabb. Allah is not unaware of what you do. Again, from wherever you come forth, turn your face during Salah towards the Al-Masjid Al-Haram, and wherever you are, face towards it, so that the people will not have any argument against you, except those among them who are wrongdoers. Do not fear them, fear me, so that I may perfect my favors to you, and that you may be rightly guided, just as we bestowed our favor upon you when we sent among you a Rasul of your own, who recites to you our revelations, sanctifies you, teaches you the book and wisdom, and teaches you that which you did not know. Therefore, remember me, and I will remember you. Be grateful to me and never deny me. We will go back to revisit those passages that I talked about concerning conducting evil within a masjid and destroying it. I'm not going to make any guesses. I will say that's in Surah Al-Tabah. These are the standards, and then Tabah is the way of judgment for those who break the standards. O you who believe, seek my help with patience and prayer. Surely Allah is with those who are patient. Do not say about those who are slain in the cause of Allah, martyrs, that they are dead. Nay, they are alive, but you do not perceive it. We shall surely test your steadfastness with fear and famine, with loss of property, life and produce. Give Tabah news to those who endure with patience, who when afflicted with calamity say, we belong to Allah and to him we shall return. Such are the people on whom there are blessings and mercy from Allah, and they are the ones that are rightly guided. Behold, Safa and Marwa, two hills in the Al-Masjid Al-Haram, are among the symbols of Allah. So anyone who performs Hajj or Umrah, pilgrimage to the house, there is no blame if one goes around both of them, and anyone who does Tawbah voluntarily should know that surely Allah knows the grateful. The whole issue with Muhammad and the other people who were living in Mecca conducting business was the fact that although Mecca was supposed to be a holy city to invite people to pilgrimage, it had become a place that was pilgrimage for anybody who wanted to worship anything. So if Muhammad went out and sent a message saying, do not bow towards Mecca anymore because it's corrupt, that would cause a lot of concern as well. Now, these surah are supposed to be direct revelations from Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad was alive long enough to speak for 12 to 14 years about this message. When he spoke, there were a certain group of individuals, whether it was 72 or 176. There was a certain group of individuals who had to be present, who were actually writing down everything that he said. There could be no changes to it. Everyone also had to verify because everyone was going to be reading and testing it to make sure that everyone wrote down the same thing. This information was going to be dispersed back to all of the populace who wanted to know how to live according to the righteous life. The Quran itself was published decades after Prophet Muhammad had passed, nearly a century. Now, where have we seen that before? When our Messiah was walking around on this earth, it was quite a while before the pages that explained the documentary of his life were released and published to the public. I'm not saying Prophet Muhammad was our Messiah. No, he was a messenger. That's what Rasul means, messenger. Anointed, yes. The major anointed one is Yahushua. All prophets who live according to the standard, teach the standard. All prophets should be recognized. That is the lineage. That is the Injil. They are the ones who have shown us how we're actually supposed to be living. They are the ones who have been reminding everybody, you've basically become consumers of your enemies. Those who oppress you are the same people that you run to and consume from. You have forsaken your own father who gives you sustenance to go and pay taxes for sustenance. Along the Injil, that has been the message the whole time. You have forgotten to even give thanks to Yahweh Elohim for everything. You have forgotten to make sure that you are living in service to Yahweh Elohim at all times. Anyone who tells you anything different is leading you astray. Those who conceal the clear proofs and the guidance after we have made it clear in the book for mankind will have Allah's curse and that of those who are entitled to curse, except those who repent, reform, and let the truth be known. I will accept their repentance, for I am the receiver of repentance, the merciful. Surely those who are unbelievers and die while they are unbelievers, they are the ones on whom is the curse of Allah. The angels and all mankind, they will live in it forever. Neither their punishment shall be lightened, nor shall they be given respite. Allah is one. That's not what's written right here. It says your deity is one deity. That should not be there. Allah is one. There is no one worthy of worship except him, the compassionate, the merciful. La ilaha illallah. There is no one worthy of worship except Allah. Surely in the creation of the heavens and the earth, in the alternation of the night and the day, in the sailing of the ships through the ocean for the profit of mankind, in the rain which Allah sends down from the skies, with which he revives the earth after its death, and spreads in it all kinds of animals, in the change of the winds and the clouds between the sky and the earth that are made subservient. There are signs for rational people. All things were put in place before mankind came along and said, look, I've got a gadget to use that. You still did not put the wind in place. You still did not cause the seas and the rivers and the brooks to evaporate, to turn into clouds, which produce rain. You can only marvel at things and then say how things began from what you observe. You can't tell how things were put into balance. We're not here to try and figure out that. We're supposed to say, thank you, Yahweh Elohim, Allah, Rabbi, Rabbi Shirley, Abba, Teda, Shukran. I thank you for all the sustenance. I thank you for the mercy that you show me. When I'm running around here talking about what I need and what I want, the mercy that you show me when you place it right in front of my face. Funny thing is, there's a lot of people think that that's just going to just show up out of nowhere. No, the real mercy and compassion comes when you have actually connected with other compassionate beings who are aware of the mercy of our Creator. Us working together is how we grow. Just because I tell you that I make music doesn't mean that I'm getting any kind of check from anybody concerning the music that I do. Why? Because I'm not signed with any major company. They're corrupt. There is nothing in this world that I could possibly sign into that starts corrupted. There is nothing that I could sign into and expect just me walking in is going to fix that issue. No, that doesn't work. No, you don't willingly go and become part of the system just to not be of it. No. If you're already part of the system, you need to be devising a way to get out of it. And not just 1 hour per day. You need to be trying to figure out how to physically walk all the way out of it. And don't say that you are alone, because there are other people out here who are doing the same. Those are the people that need to be connected, setting up a network. You say you can't because you haven't tried. Surely in the creation of the heavens and the earth, I just read you that. There are some who take for worship other deities besides Allah. They are mushrikeen. When you hear when you hear in these passages the mention of a disbeliever, that means they've heard the message and rejected it. Not somebody who's not heard the message at all. They can't be a disbeliever. They don't know either way. A disbeliever is someone where you walk straight up to them and acknowledge them. I salute you with our Father's peace and mercy. and they tell you, I don't believe in the Father that you're talking about. That's a disbeliever. When it talks about mushrikeen, that's the ones who say, oh, yes, yes, our Father's peace and blessings and mercy to you too. Yet they have no faith and no works that they will be able to report because they are anti-kingdom of Yahweh Elohim. They are anti-following the standards to the letter. They only want to do pieces. Well, you're rejected. You're either completely whole about it, or you can be in pieces and get rejected. Well, I don't know. I'm just learning in this. Okay. Well, you are accepted. However, the second you learn something that you're supposed to be doing, you put it to practice. Don't go quoting it. Put it to practice. It's not about the clothes that I wear. It's about what comes out of my mouth and what happens from the products of my body moving around. You can't tell what I think until I tell you. However, Yahweh Elohim knows everything that I think. This angel right here on my shoulder is responsible for that, writing down everything that I think. This angel over here is writing down everything that I say and do. Guess what? Everybody who was conceived into a flesh-formed body has two angels doing the same thing for them. Every time we fall asleep and we leave the reality that we all share and we are unconscious, the angels go back to report. Well, the last time we were around such an one, this is what was going on. Okay, now you can return because such an one is about to wake up and be about their business again. Those who say they have accepted the faith and they took the oath, there is no one to worship except for Allah. Those who take that oath and then go around doing things against that oath are called mushrikeen. There are some who take for worship other deities besides Allah, mushrikeen. They love them as they should love Allah, whereas the believers are strong in love for Allah. If those who are unjust could visualize the day of judgment when they shall see chastisement, they would come to know for sure that all powers belong to Allah and that Allah is stern in retribution. On that day, those leaders who were being followed when faced with their punishment will renounce those who followed them, and the bounds which united them will break asunder. The followers will say, if it could be possible for us to live again, we would renounce them as they have renounced us today. Thus, Allah will show them the fruits of their deeds. They will sigh with regret and shall not be able to come out of that hellfire. You don't get to say, oh, I realize I'm being punished. Oh, I'll be good. You've had your whole lifetime to develop that seed to grow into a tree, which would produce fruit dedicated to the service of Yahweh Elohim. So if you spend your life in disbelief or unbelief, then your fruits are not being contributed to the kingdom. No matter what type of blessings you think you've gotten throughout life, it doesn't matter if you have several cars and a large house, or if you have a bank with all kinds of money in it and all of that. None of that means anything if you can step outside and see somebody else being oppressed, especially if the same system that you got, all of the things that you say that you're blessed with, if that same system is what's oppressing somebody else, you're a citizen of the wrong kingdom. O mankind, eat of what is lawful and clean on the earth, and do not follow the footsteps of Shaitan. Surely he is your open enemy. He enjoins you to commit evil and indecency, and to say certain things against Allah about which you have no knowledge. When it is said to them, follow what Allah has revealed, they reply, nay, we will follow what our forefathers practiced. Well, even if their forefathers had no sense at all and lacked guidance. The parable of those who reject faith is like cattle, which call out to them as one may, hear nothing but a shout and a cry, since they are unable to understand. They are deaf, dumb, blind, and understand nothing. You could say moo to a cow, and it would be the same thing as saying assalamu alaikum. O believers, eat the clean things which we have provided you, and give thanks to Allah if you worship only Him. He has forbidden you to eat dead meat, blood, the flesh of swine, and that on which any other name than Allah has been invoked. But if someone is compelled by absolute necessity, intending neither to sin nor to transgress, they shall incur no sin. Surely Allah is forgiving, merciful. Surely those who conceal any part of the book which Allah has revealed and sell His revelations for a petty price, material gain, swallow nothing but fire into their bellies. On the day of resurrection, Allah will neither speak to them nor purify them, and they shall have painful punishment. These are the kind of people who barter guidance for error and forgiveness for punishment. How stubborn are they to encounter hellfire? Their doom is because Allah has revealed the book with the truth. Surely those who seek causes of dispute in the book, the Quran, are an extreme schism, divergence. I see you, Claudette Kofi. It's very tabah to have you here. Tada. Hashem Yahavalahim Shalom al Barak. Allahu Assalamu alaikum. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, brother. Big brother, leader. Thank you for bringing your presence here. Righteousness is not whether you turn your face towards east or west, but righteousness is to believe in Allah, the last day, the angels, the books, and the prophets, to spend wealth out of love for Him on relatives, orphans, helpless, needy travelers, those who ask for and on redemption of captives, to establish salah, prayers, to pay zakah, charity, to fulfill promises when made, to be steadfast in distress, in adversity, and at the time of war. These people are the truthful, and these are the pious. O believers, retaliation is prescribed for you in the cases of murder. A free man for a free man, a slave for a slave, and a female for a female. But if anyone is pardoned by the brother of the slain, then bloodwit, a ransom for manslaughter, should be decided according to the common law, and payment should be made with gratitude. This is a concession and a mercy from your Rabb. Now, whoever exceeds the limits after this shall have a painful punishment. O men of understanding, there is security of life for you in the law of retaliation, so that you may restrain yourselves. This will is made obligatory for the death of any one of you who is leaving some property behind, to bequest it equitably to his parents and relatives. This is a duty incumbent on the righteous. If anyone changes the bequest after hearing it, the sin of it then is on those who make the change. Allah hears and knows everything. But there is no blame on the one who suspects an error or an injustice on the part of the testator and brings about a settlement among the parties. Allah is forgiving, merciful. In other words, if there's a discrepancy between two people about a written agreement, then a third person is brought in who is aware of the standards and the rules of conduct as far as judgment. That person would decide between the two people. For everyone who wants to argue about who is a beneficiary in a will and so on and so forth, let's remember, number one, our common custom was to take care of that through a living will. What was going on at the moment when someone was leaving the household, that is when they would receive their inheritance. You're not waiting for some rich benefactor as a relative to pass away in order for you to receive what comes from the will. A beneficiary would be someone who receives something because there is a person who says, hey, I recognize within you, I see your potential, and I want to invest in you so that you can actually properly serve and give the correct type of product. Those who want to run around and argue about what's left to them after the fact, it would make you wonder where their scruples are. And that's why this whole Baccarat is in discussion. For those who call themselves Jews after they could have just settled with Yahudi, or actually Yehovah, the original, the principal, when they would have called themselves Jews and took the yard out. But here you go. These are the standards. O believers, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may learn self-restraint. Fast the prescribed number of days, except if any of you is ill or on a journey. Then fast a similar number of days later. For those who cannot endure it for medical reasons, there is a ransom, the feeding of one poor person for each missed day. Whoever does more tabah than this voluntarily, it is better for him. However, if you truly understand the rationale of fasting, it is better for you to fast. It is in the 9th month in which the Quran was revealed. Now, I had to change that because right there it says it is in the month of Ramadan. Prophet Muhammad would not have observed Ramadan because he was already practicing going to do a fast on the 9th month. Ramadan did not exist until after Prophet Muhammad and those who started to follow him to learn about the faith of Islam. When they were kicked out of Mecca is when the pilgrimage began. So when you hear someone refer to the Hijra calendar, that's the pilgrimage calendar. It is not the calendar that Prophet Muhammad would have used. That calendar that Prophet Muhammad used was a solar, astral, lunar calendar, not a Gregorian calendar. There are two forms of this calendar that you can find preserved in Iran. One is called the zodiac calendar, and it is not for you to get some kind of astrological oracle report. Aries is the first month, starts at the same time that it's supposed to, a week before Passover. If you don't want to use Aries and Scorpio and all of that, okay, well, I tell you what, the calendar I use is called Jalali calendar, off of a person who reintroduced it. It was already here. In the Jalali calendar, the first month is called Favardin. And then there's another month in there that's called a day, D-E-Y, day. And then there's another month in there that's called Asher, which is the reason why I was sent to deliver a message. My message all the time is to remind people of the day of Asher. Some people might know the reference Ashura. And if you do, we're getting somewhere. So the 9th month would have actually been called Asher. And if you find the calendar that I'm talking about, it's either going to say A-Z-A-R, Azar, or it's going to say A-S-R, or even Ashura. It is a specific month, and it is also one of the times of the 5 times of prayer each day. It is also a surah inside of the Quran. Asr is very important. It is the month of Ashr in which the Quran was revealed, a guidance for mankind with clear teachings showing the right way and a criterion of truth and falsehood. Therefore, any one of you who witnesses that month should fast therein, and whoever is ill or on a journey should fast a similar number of days later on. Allah intends your well-being and does not want to put you to hardship. He wants you to complete the prescribed period so that you should glorify his greatness and render thanks to him for giving you guidance. During those 30 days of fasting, there are exactly 30 sections in this book. Those sections are called Jews. They are broken down to where you can read them consecutively. At the end of each Jews is the point where you stop and reflect on everything that you've been reading for that day. When my servants question you about me, tell them that I am very close to them. I answer the prayer of every suppliant when he calls me. Therefore, they should respond to me and put their trust in me so that they may be rightly guided. It is made lawful for you to approach your wives during the night of the fast. They are in apparel for you and you for them. Allah knows that you are committing dishonesty to your souls, so he has relented towards you and pardoned you. Now you may approach your wives and seek what Allah has ordained for you. Eat and drink until the white thread of dawn appears to you, distinct from the black thread of night. Then complete your fast till nightfall. Do not approach your wives during itikaf, retreat in the mosques during last 10 days of Ramadan. That means everybody spends the last 10 days in the temple worshiping. Because here's the thing, for those 5 times of prayer throughout the day, the masjid is open. Anybody can walk in and perform their prostrations, namaz, at any of those given times. You don't have to go all the way back home. If you don't want to stop and drop in the middle of the sidewalk, wherever a masjid is, it should be open and available at all times for prayer. That's what it's for, to go and read and study, and to pray. So whether you pray at home, alone, with your family, or if everyone goes to the masjid together, it's always recognized. There are 5 times throughout the day. So on those last 10 days, when everybody is going through their 30-day fast of studying, worshiping, and praying, and fasting, it is already known that on the last 10 days, everybody gets together. And after the last day, after the 30th day, then it's a fast because everyone breaks fast together. Using those last 10 days to even fast from the idea of intercourse with your spouse, where you are concentrating on nothing except what you can do to be of service to Yahweh Elohim. It should remind you of the times when, yes, you do have to be away from your spouse. Are you still about your work? Do not misappropriate one another's property unjustly, nor bribe the judges in order to misappropriate a part of other people's property, sinfully and knowingly. They question you about the new moon. Tell them, it is to determine the periods of time for the benefit of mankind and for the Hajj, pilgrimage. It is not righteous to enter your houses from the back doors during Hajj times. Righteous is to fear Allah. Enter your houses through the proper doors and fear Allah so that you may prosper. Makes you question, doesn't it? Well, if it's during Hajj times and pilgrimage, what are you saying? Well, those who were traveling, they weren't doing a pilgrimage going from Mecca to Medina. It's called the pilgrimage calendar because they were being blocked from entry into Mecca in order to perform the pilgrimage properly. Once again, that's why there's discrepancies going on here. So how could you enter your house from the back door? Not everybody lived in tents. Some had actual abodes made of stone and clay, mortar. Like I said, when you put it in the context, it makes all the difference. Fight in the cause of Allah with those who fight against you, but do not exceed the limits. Allah does not like transgressors. Kill them wherever they confront you in combat and drive them out of the places from which they have driven you. Though killing is bad, creating mischief is worse than killing. Do not fight them within the precincts of the Al-Masjid al-Haram unless they attack you there. But if they attack you, put them to sword. That is the punishment for such unbelievers. If they cease hostility, then surely Allah is forgiving, merciful. Fight against them until there is no more disorder and Allah's supremacy is established. If they desist, let there be no hostility except against the oppressors. Let me remind you, even though this is the second surah, it is not the second surah that was revealed. This surah was revealed 2 years after Prophet Muhammad had been living in Medina. That means several years had passed. They had already been kicked out of Mecca and they were living in Medina because no, they could not prostrate towards the masjid in Mecca. Now, who would possibly go back and change things like that? Let me go back because I want you to hear something again. They question you about the new moon. Tell them it is to determine the periods of time for the benefit of mankind and for the Hajj pilgrimage. It is not righteous to enter your houses from the back doors during Hajj times. Righteousness is to fear Allah. Enter your houses through the proper doors and fear Allah so that you may prosper. What is this concern about the new moon? It is custom that Muslims ask each other, have you seen the moon? On a new moon night, there is no moon. So the next day, they would ask one another, have you seen the moon? No, I have not. That means that that night, you're supposed to see a sliver of the quarter moon starting to come into view. This is not, I can see a bit of the moon on a new moon night. No. Of course you can see the outline, the silhouette. It's a celestial body. It's a quarter the size of the earth. Yes, you're going to see it in the sky, but no, it's not illumined because the sun is blocked. I mean, the earth is blocking the sun. You can't see it completely. You can't see the craters in definition. You can barely tell that it's up in the sky. That's why it's called the new moon. It's starting a new phase. So no, that's not the night that you start your fast. The next day. And then even then, you're not starting your fast. You're saying that you see the moon because your fast will start when the seal, that silver thread, separates the darkness of night into the lightness of day as the sun approaches the horizon where you can see the sun and the stars are gone. So you're not setting your fast to start then. You are able to eat through that night when you see that silver. When you see the sliver of the moon, you have from the sliver of the moon to the silver of the sunrise to eat. That doesn't mean become a glutton. It means prepare yourself and ration your energy because for the next 30 days, the only time you can eat is when the sun goes down and you can't eat when the sun comes up. That's when it becomes beneficial to have an actual real plate in front of you. There are no snacks in between throughout the day. That's when you'll find out that you didn't need those snacks anyway. It was beautiful hearing Elder Tamara last night give her testimony. about getting rid of all those things in her regular life that were destroying her health. And in the moment she got rid of them, our Father brought her health back. Beautiful story. Amin Salah Shay. They question you about the new moon. Most people, when you ask them about Asher, they want to tell you that there was a martyr called Ali who was killed on the day of Asher. The day of Asher is the day that Ibrahim paid tribute to one of the order of Malik, Zadok, Malachi, Zadok, Melchizedek. That's the day of Asher. The day after he had got through destroying all those kingdoms and came to pay tribute and give an oath saying that the nation that has been promised to me will not practice any of the actions of those kingdoms I just destroyed. Here's my tribute. We will live according to the standards that you already promote. That's the day of Asher. When Musa led the children of Yahasharael out of Kemet, they had a day's journey ahead of Pharaoh. When Pharaoh and all of his followers came along and tried to cross the Sea of Reeds, they were swallowed up. That night marked the day of Asher because it was the day after Passover. That's the day of Asher. So when people question about the new moon, how deep in context are they going? The sacred month in which fighting is prohibited is to be respected if the same is respected by the enemy. Sacred things, too, are subject to retaliation. Therefore, if anyone transgresses a prohibition and attacks you, retaliate with the same force. Fear Allah and bear in mind that Allah is with the righteous. Doesn't sound like Allah fights your battles for you. No. Allah gave us armor, including a sword. We are meant to battle. Give generously for the cause of Allah, and do not cast yourselves into destruction by your own hands. Be charitable. Allah loves those who are charitable. Complete the Hajj, obligatory pilgrimage to Mecca, and the Umrah, optional visit to Mecca, for the sake of Allah. If you are prevented from proceeding, then send such offering for a sacrifice as you can afford, and do not shave your head until the offerings have reached their destination. But if any of you is ill or has an ailment in his scalp, which necessitates shaving, he must pay ransom either by fasting or feeding the poor or offering a sacrifice. If in peacetime anyone wants to take the advantage of performing Umrah and Hajj together, he should make an offering which he can afford, but if he cannot afford it, he should fast 3 days during the Hajj and 7 days on his return, making 10 days in all. This order is for the one whose household is not in the precincts of Al-Masjid al-Haram. Fear Allah and know that Allah is strict in retribution. So let's go back. Because all of this sounds like no matter what you got going on, you're supposed to always go back and make that pilgrimage. So why is this being just steadily driven in if this surah was revealed while Prophet Muhammad was ostracized in Medina? Why would you keep hearing something about still make the pilgrimage back to Mecca? The actions of Prophet Muhammad were steadily causing a decline for the prophets of the family of the Quraysh. He was causing a decline in the market for those who were traveling to Mecca in order to worship, because he was letting them know, if you're not worshiping Allah, then you are in the wrong and your worship is fruitless. And this is now an evil place. So he was hurting their market. That's why I'm letting you know to scratch your head about what you're hearing right now, as far as how a person is supposed to supplicate themselves towards Al-Masjid al-Haram, because the name itself is a key, is a clue. I pay very sharp attention to names, especially when people want to hold on to them. Do you know that meaning of that Shem, of that authority that you want to hold on to? Haram means haram. So for every time that that's repeated in here, there's another surah that tells you how to treat places like that. Yes, these words have been tampered with. And you have to put them in context to know what's real and what's not. The mystery of all of this is I pretty much figured out where the Ishmaelite is in all of this. And I'll give you a heads up. There was an Ishmaelite who was passing the message on to Prophet Muhammad in order for him to come back to the people and say, okay, well, here's the next revelation. He was speaking with an Ishmaelite. Salah. About to do a time check. I'll take a short break, play some music, get my wits about myself. There's water. This is coffee. I'm almost out of coffee. Almost out of water too. Yeah. Tada, thank you to all who are tuning in.
Make you lean on that free love. You can change. To the next start is our next quarter. We ain't playing with you on the star, mighty star, mighty star, lady, boy, you won't see it in the night. Unless I have to punch you down, I don't put down, man. Nothing along like that. I ain't always down bad, you not talking. Well, on the top, up on me there. Oh, yeah, bring it to me, on the food.
You will see us soon, cause we higher than the moon. You know we coming through, acting like some buffoons, and we don't stop. Should've took a mind vacation, putting down them G's. Lightweight, but it's just a corset, nothing but a fad that's gonna go away. And one day you gonna buy them from me. For Saturn and help myself up on these lyrics. I feel it in my spirit. All right. We got some refreshments. Probably won't mix up any coffee yet, though I normally do. That's why I always keep a black label. That's the one for coffee. I keep a red label for water. I need water right now. I just finished off. That was my second cup of coffee. I'd already started on it before I began this session. If I do a third can of that, it's bad enough I'm an insomniac. I'd be up until this time tomorrow. Notwithstanding, I might do that anyway tonight. Got a lot of work ahead of me. This phone holds out. There's a lot of work I need to do on it. That also reminds me I didn't do a time check. One moment, please. It's actually 5 minutes to the top of the hour. Wait a minute. We're at the top of the hour of 6 o'clock. Yep. About 10 minutes away at least. Lately, we've been going at least 3 hours. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 more pages to go, and then we will reach another Jews section. Now I'm curious, because when we make it to Jews 3, that ends at Ayat 252. So let me check something real quick. I want to know how many Ayat are in Baqarah 2. There are 286 Ayat in Baqarah. Now we know there are 286. We're going to read until we get to this next marker for Jews. So as you can see, within this one surah, there's 3 sections of reading, 3 different days worth of reading. That's also why I'm observing those markers, because I know there's a lot of information that I'm sharing with you within just one Jews. Those who say that they are Muslims and they practice Islam would have to be aware of all of this, and they would have had to take at least one fast to where they did dedicate it to studying. It is said that there is no one who goes through that first fast and completes it, whether it's doing the dietary part or the reading and the studying. It takes at least 7 times to complete the process. And for others, it might take even more years. Because, yeah, that's saying, okay, you got 7 years, 7 different times to get this right. And it is also a common practice once you've completed that first fast to just start all over again the following month. So a person has the option of learning how to do it within 7 months instead of 7 years. However, you will still wait for that 9th month, Asher, to dedicate yourself for the actual practice of fasting, worshiping, studying, and praying to where eventually it becomes every day. That is why it is said every day is a holy day when you practice according to the real calendar. There is no augmenting the Greco-Roman calendar. It's reject the Greco-Roman calendar. It has no place. For all these times in the Quran where it keeps talking about making sure a person does the Hajj back to Mecca, it's because those ruling families still did try to put their hands on what would become the standard. It is also said that in his last years of life, Prophet Muhammad and his followers were welcomed back into Mecca. However, at the same time, people were still trying to take his life, which meant that the practices of Islam still were not completely accepted. Keep that in mind as context. Prophet Muhammad is a descendant of the family of Korah. That's who the Quraysh are. Hajj is in the well-known months. One who undertakes to perform it must abstain from husband-wife relationship, obscene language, and wrangling during Hajj. Whatever tabah you do, Allah knows it. Take necessary provisions with you for the journey, and piety is the best provision of all. Fear me, O people endowed with understanding. There is no blame on you if you seek the bounty of your Rabb during this journey. When you return from Arafat, but stop at Muzdalifah and praise Allah near Mash'ar al-Haram. Praise him as he has guided you. For before this you were from the people who had lost the wrong way. Then return from where the people return and seek Allah's forgiveness. Surely Allah is forgiving, merciful. When you have fulfilled your sacred duties, praise Allah as you used to praise your forefathers, or with deeper reverence. There are some who say, our Rabb, give us abundance in this world. Such people will not have any share in the hereafter. But there are others who say, our Rabb, give us the Tabah life, both in this world and in the hereafter, and save us from the torment of fire. Such people shall have their due share in both worlds according to what they have earned. Allah is swift in settling the accounts. Celebrate the praises of Allah during these appointed times, or these appointed days. There is no sin if anyone hastens to leave Mina after 2 days, and there is no sin to stays there a day longer, provided he spends these days in piety. Fear Allah and remember that you will surely be gathered before him. So there's been a couple of different mountains that have been mentioned and other sites for you to visit when you go on Hajj. One of those places in between the mountains is the well called Zamzam. This is the well that Hagar found and was able to have sustenance for both her and Ishmael. There are all kinds of places and markers they want you to go and visit, tourist spots. In modern times, we know about Disney World, Disneyland, Epcot Center, Universal World, and so on and so forth. Most people would find it very disrespectful if I said at Prophet Muhammad's time, Mecca had been turned into Disney World. Most people would be real disrespected about that. They'd be in their feelings. However, it was the truth. Prophet Muhammad was saying, you brought in a bunch of cartoon characters and you desecrated our divine way of life. That's the true righteous story. You'll find that in the history books, and you will find it when you read a Quran that actually tells you an introduction to each of the surah and why it was written. There are others who go to schools of Islam that follow the Hadith, Hadith. The Hadith is a volume series of collections of quotes. These quotes are not directly from Prophet Muhammad. These quotes are from people who say they were the companions, those who had taken the oath of Shahada. These quotes come from his companions. Now, the thing about the Hadith is that at first it started out, there were 6,000 quotes. And then that was reduced to 3,000 quotes. And then the majority of those quotes coming from someone who was alleged as Prophet Muhammad's wife, Aisha. So out of 3,000 quotes, at least 1,000 of them are from Aisha, who was barely 18 years old when Prophet Muhammad died. The person who assembled all the quotes, when he assembled the Hadith, it was decades after Prophet Muhammad had passed. Many of those who said they were Prophet Muhammad's companions were no longer alive either. There are many schools of Islam who base their teachings on the Hadith. We are told what we're supposed to base the teachings on. Torah, Psalms, and the Injil, lineage. Any quotes that Prophet Muhammad was supposed to send to the people would be here. In all of the hadith, it says, it was said by so and so. And those are actually where it will say so and so. And then it'll say a person's name and who they were the son of and what they heard from so and so. And this is the interpretation of what that means. And you can find something related to it in the Quran in such surah at such ayah or verse. That's the hadith. You can find that in 7 volumes, 9 volumes, and so on and so forth. A whole lot compared to this. And this actually does have all the surah along with the introductions and the explanations. I can tell you about the hadith. However, no, I don't subscribe to the hadith. I have this. I have the Bible. I have the Apocrypha. These. I have that organ inside of my skull. Most important, I pray to Allah. Among the people, there is one whose speech fascinates you in this worldly life. He may even call upon Allah to witness what is in his heart, yet he is your staunch opponent. And when he leaves you, he directs his efforts towards causing mischief in the land, destroying crops and cattle. Allah, whom he makes his witness, does not like mischief. When it is said to him, "Fear Allah," arrogance carries him off to sin. Hell would be the proper place for such a person, which is indeed an evil refuge. And among people there is one who would give away his life to seek the pleasure of Allah. Allah is affectionate to his devotees. O believers, enter into Islam completely and do not follow the footsteps of Shaitan. Surely he is your open enemy. If you falter after receiving the clear message, then keep in mind that Allah is mighty, wise. Are they waiting for Allah to come down to them in the shadow of clouds, along with the angels, and make his decision known? Ultimately, all matters will be presented to Allah for decision. In plain text, what makes you think Allah really wants to belittle self to come and answer benign human concerns? No, the sky is not going to open up and clouds dissipate and the angels come and here's a light of glory just because someone says, "Prove to me that Allah is real." The fact that there are clouds proves reality. We get our answer on our day of judgment when we stand before our Creator. Oh, you really do exist. And yes, this is something. There really is a heaven, there really is a hell, and there are people that are going to go to each or other place. I say each because I know what stature I am going towards. I know what my name means. I know the story behind it. I know what I'll be doing when I leave this fleshly realm. Ask the children of Yahasharael how many clear signs we have given them. Anyone who substitutes the favor of Allah changes the revelations of Allah after it has come to him, and should know that Allah is strict in retribution. The life of this world is charming to those who are unbelievers, and they mock at those who believe. But they forget that those who fear Allah will rank above them on the day of resurrection. Allah gives sustenance without measure to whom he wants. Mankind was one nation having one religion. Later, when people invented other religions, Allah appointed prophets as bearers of Tabah news and warnings, and revealed to them the book with the true guidance to settle the matters of dispute between people. But the very people to whom it was given started disputes after the clear arguments had come to them, because of rivalry between one another. Allah has guided the believers by His will to the truth in those matters in which they had differences. Allah guides whom He pleases towards the right way. Do you think that you will enter paradise without any trials, while you have known the example of those who passed away before you? They were afflicted with suffering and adversity, and were so violently shaken up that even the Rasul and the believers with him cried out, "When will Allah's help come?" Then they were comforted with the words, "Be aware, Allah's help is ever close." For all of you praying for a cushy life and no more problems, no more worries, well, you're not asking to be on the divine path then. Because every gift, every grain of sustenance is a test to you. How are you going to use it? Are you going to run around bragging about it? Or are you going to use it in the service of the kingdom of Yahweh Elohim? Every morsel of food, every breath you take, every drop of water, every thought that you have after registering information and data, everything comes from our Creator. Now, how are you going to use it? You don't get a cushy life. You're supposed to work. So many people are quickly running out to go toil. How often do you use the gifts that were given to you in order to help others increase? They ask you what they should spend in charity. Say, whatever you spend with a tabah heart, give it to parents, relatives, orphans, the helpless, and travelers in need. Whatever tabah you do, Allah is aware of it. Fighting has been made obligatory for you, much to your dislike. It is quite possible that something which you do not like is tabah for you, and that something which you love is bad for you. Allah knows, and you do not know. They ask you about war in the sacred month. Tell them, fighting in this month is a big offense. But to prevent from the path of Allah, to deny Him, to prevent an access to and expel His worshippers from Al-Masjid al-Haram are more severe crimes in the sight of Allah, and mischief is worse than killing. As for unbelievers, they will not cease fighting until they succeed in turning you back from your religion, if they can. If any of you turns back from his religion and dies as an unbeliever, his deeds will become void in this life and in the hereafter. He will be the inmate of the hellfire, to live in there forever. Surely those who are believers migrated and struggled in the path of Allah. They can hope for the mercy of Allah. Allah is forgiving, merciful. They ask you about drinking and gambling. Tell them, there is great sin in both. Although they may have some benefit for men, but the sin is greater than the benefit. They ask you what they should spend. Tell them, whatever you can. Thus, Allah makes His revelations clear to you so that you may reflect upon this world and the hereafter. They ask you about orphans. Tell them, it is best to look for their welfare, and if you mix your affairs with theirs, become co-partners, then they are your brothers. Allah knows who means harm and who means their welfare. If Allah wanted, He could be hard on you in this manner. Surely Allah is mighty, wise. Do not marry mushrik women until they become believers. Mushrik means unbeliever. A believing slave woman is better than a free mushrik woman, even though she may be more attractive to you. Likewise, do not marry mushrik men until they become believers. A believing slave is better than a free mushrik, even though he may be more pleasing to you. These mushrikeen invite you to the hellfire, while Allah invites you towards paradise and forgiveness by His grace. He makes His revelations clear to mankind so that they may take heed. They ask you about menstruation. Tell them, this is a discomfort. Therefore, keep away from women. Do not have sexual intercourse during their menstrual periods, and do not approach them until they are clean again. When they have cleansed themselves, then you may approach them in the manner Allah has enjoined for you. Surely Allah loves those who turn to Him in repentance and love those who keep themselves clean. Your wives are like your tilth, so go to your tilth when you like. TILTH. Take care of your future and refrain from the displeasure of Allah. Bear in mind that you shall meet Him in the hereafter, and give tabah news to the believers. Do not make Allah's name as an excuse in your oaths against your dealing justly, behaving piously, and making peace between people. Allah hears and knows everything. Allah will not hold you accountable for what is inadvertent in your oaths, but He will hold you accountable for what you intended in your hearts. Allah is forgiving, forbearing. So in other words, if you mispronounce something or you say it mistakenly, you can be forgiven for mistakes. However, if you say one thing and you are thinking and intending something else in your heart, it doesn't matter what you told the people. You have sinned, and it is written, and you will be accountable for it. When you deceive the people by hiding the truth, you will be held accountable for it. Because every time you interact with people, you're setting off a chain reaction. So if the people start acting in discord or acting against the standards because someone led them wrong, the leader is punished as well as the people for following the misguiding leader. Those who renounce conjugal relationship with their wives on oath have a limitation of 4 months. If they reconcile and restore their relationship, surely Allah is forgiving, merciful. But if they decide to divorce them, they may do so. Surely Allah hears and knows everything. Divorced women must keep themselves waiting for 3 menstrual periods. It is not lawful for them to hide what Allah has created in their wombs, if they believe in Allah and the last day. In such cases, their husbands have a right to take them back in that period, if they desire reconciliation. Women have rights, similar to those exercised against them in an equitable manner, although men have a degree of responsibility above them. Allah is mighty. Wives, the pronouncement of revocable divorce is only allowed twice. Then she should be allowed to stay with honor or let go with kindness after the 3rd pronouncement. It is not lawful for you to take anything back which you have given them, except when both parties fear that they may not be able to follow the limits set by Allah. Then, if you fear that they both will not be able to keep the limits of Allah, there is no blame if by mutual agreement the wife compensates the husband to obtain divorce. These are the limits set by Allah. Do not transgress them, and those who transgress the limits of Allah are the wrongdoers. So, if a husband divorces his wife 3 times, it is not lawful for him to remarry her until after she has married another man. In case he divorces her, there is no blame on either of them if they reunite in marriage, provided they feel that they can keep the limits of Allah. These are the limits of Allah, which He makes clear to the people of understanding. When you divorce women and they have reached the end of their waiting period, iddat, either allow them to stay with honor or let them go with kindness. But you should not retain them to harm them or to take undue advantage. If anyone does that, he wrongs his own soul. Do not take Allah's revelations as a joke. Remember the favors of Allah upon you and the fact that He sent down the book and wisdom for your guidance. For Allah, fear Allah and know that Allah has knowledge of everything. This charge on the phone has made it to 98%. We're not going to test. We'll let it reduce from 98%. When you have divorced women and they have reached the end of their waiting period, do not prevent them from marrying their prospective husbands if they have come to an honorable agreement. This is enjoined on everyone amongst you who believes in Allah in the last day. This is more virtuous and chaste for you. Allah knows what you do not know. The mothers shall breastfeed their offspring for 2 whole years if the father wishes the breastfeeding to be completed. The reasonable cost of their maintenance and clothing will be the responsibility of the child's father. No one should be charged with more than they can afford. Neither a mother should be made to suffer on account of her child, nor a father on the account of his child. The father's heirs are under the same obligation. But if with mutual agreement they both decide to wean the child, there is no blame on them. If you decide to have a foster mother for your offspring, there is no blame on you, provided you pay what you have promised to pay in an honorable manner. Fear Allah and beware that Allah observes your actions. As for those of you who die and leave widows behind, let them abstain from marriage for 4 months and 10 days. When they have reached the end of this period, there is no blame on you for what they do for themselves in a decent manner. Allah is aware of what you do. There is no blame on you if you make a proposal of marriage during their waiting period, openly or keep it in your hearts. Allah knows that you will naturally cherish them in your hearts. However, be careful not to make any secret agreement, and if you wish to marry, speak to them in an honorable manner. Do not confirm the marriage tie until the prescribed waiting period expires. You should know that Allah is aware of what is in your hearts. So fear him. Bear in mind that Allah is forgiving, forbearing. There is no blame on you if you divorce women before the marriage is consummated or the dowry is settled. Pay them something anyhow, the rich man according to his means and poor according to his, a reasonable amount in all fairness. This is an obligation on the righteous people. And if you divorce them before the marriage is consummated, but after the fixation of a dowry, give them half of their dowry, unless the woman wants to waive it, or the man in whose hand is the marriage tie agrees to forego and pay the dowry in full. To forego and give full dowry is closer to piety. Do not forget to show kindness to each other. Surely Allah observes your actions. Guard your salahs, obligatory prayers, especially the middle salah, and stand up with true devotion to Allah. If you are in danger, pray on foot or while riding. And when you are safe, remember Allah is in the manner that He has taught you, which you did not know before. Those of you who die and leave widows should bequeath for them a year's maintenance without causing them to leave their homes. But if they leave the residence on their own, there is no blame on you for what they choose for themselves in a fair way. Allah is mighty, wise. Reasonable provisions must also be made for divorced women. That is an obligation upon those who fear Allah. That's how Allah makes His revelations clear to you so that you may understand. What does all that mean? That means that we as people are the vessels to show the physical mercy. This isn't, oh, let's get together and pray about everything working out okay. No, we get together and work out things okay because we follow the standard. to the latter. Have you reflected on the case of thousands of people, Israelites, who fled their homes for the fear of death? Allah said to them, die, gave them death. Then he gave them life again. Surely Allah is bountiful to mankind, but most of the people do not pay thanks. O believers, fight in the path of Allah without fear of death, and bear in mind that Allah hears and knows everything. Every day that you get up and go about your work, making sure that you're actually being of service to Yahweh Elohim, you're going to battle. Every day that you get up and you use your talents from within to be of service to help someone else who is in the kingdom of Yahweh Elohim, you're in a battle. Now at least you have a partner. You have a battle buddy. There's another person that you know of who's in the same assembly. So you have a battle buddy. The battle is you will have temptation put in your face while you are trying to make sure you are of service. The battle is to say, temptation, get beyond me while I finish my task. And after my task is gone, temptation be gone. Now that the task is complete, thank you, Yahweh, for the strength and for giving me sustenance to go through that battle. Thank you, because we have overcome the enemy. Dear Adon, please give me strength and sustenance for the next task. Amen. Have you reflected? Oh, no, we did that. Who will loan to Allah a beautiful loan, which Allah will increase manyfold? Allah alone can decrease and increase wealth, and to him you all shall return. Have you not reflected on what the leaders of the children of Yahashrael demanded from one of their prophets after the death of Musa? Appoint for us a king, they said, and we will fight in the cause of Allah. The prophet replied, what if you refuse to fight when you are ordered to do so? They replied, how could we refuse to fight in the cause of Allah while we, along with our children, were driven out of our homes? But when, on their demand, they were ordered to fight, all refused except for a few of them. Allah knows the wrongdoers. Their prophet told them, Allah has appointed Talut, Saul, to be your king. They replied, how can he be our king when some of us are more deserving than him? Besides, he is not rich. The prophet said, Allah has chosen him to rule over you and blessed him with knowledge and stature. Allah grants kingship to whom he pleases, and Allah has boundless knowledge. Furthermore, their prophet told them, the sign of his appointment as a king is that there will come to you the chest in which there is tranquility from your Rabb, the residue of relics which the family of Musa and the family of Harun left behind, and that chest will be carried by the angels. Surely therein is a sign for you if you are true believers. Heirlooms from Moses and Aaron. When Talut marched forth with his army, Saul, he said, Allah will test you at a certain river. Anyone who will drink from its water shall cease to be my soldier, and those who will not drink to quench their thirst with its water, except a sip or so from the hollow of their hands, shall fight on my side. They all drank from it, in spite of this warning, except a few of them. When he and those who believed with him crossed the river, they said, we have no power left this day against Jalut, Goliath, and his warriors. But the believers who knew they would meet Allah replied, it has often happened that a small group, by the grace of Allah, has vanquished a mighty army. Allah is with those who endure with patience. I want you all to take note of something. I don't know if you heard what I just said. Jalut, Goliath. If you remember Popeye, Pluto, and Olive Oil used to call Pluto a big galoot. We have no power left this day against the Jalut, Goliath, and his warriors. Just a little mental note there. When they advanced to face Jalut, Goliath, and his warriors, they prayed, Our Rabb, fill our hearts with steadfastness, make our steps firm, and help us, give us victory against the unbelievers. They put the unbelievers to flight by the leave of Allah, and David, killed Jalut. Allah gave Dawood the kingdom and wisdom, and taught him what else he pleased. If Allah had not been repelling one set of people by the might of others, there would indeed be disorder on earth. But Allah is gracious to all the worlds. These are the revelations of Allah. We recite them to you in truth. Surely you are one of our Rasuls. I'm going to repeat that. When they advanced to face Jalut, Goliath, and his warriors, they prayed, Our Rabb, fill our hearts with steadfastness, make our steps firm, and help us, give us victory against the unbelievers. They put the unbelievers to flight by the leave of Allah, and David, killed Jalut. Allah gave Dawood the kingdom and wisdom, and taught him what else he pleased. If Allah had not been repelling one set of people by the might of others, there would indeed be disorder on earth. But Allah is gracious to all the worlds. These are the revelations of Allah. We recite them to you in truth. Surely you are one of our Rasuls. Alhamdulillah. We'll close there because we've made it to Jews 3. Inshallah, Adon willing, tomorrow we can pick up at Ayat 251. Once again, Tada, Shukran, Gracias, Spasibo, Grazie, Mocha Grazie, Ashante, for everyone who has come to this party. Thank you. Hashem Yahweh Elohim, Shalom Barak. Allahu Assalamu Alaikum wa Rahmatullahi wa Barakatuh. Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon you, your families, and your circles. Yahava Ahava, Ahava Ahava. Our Father's peace, blessings, and mercy be upon all who join in this party. Our Creator is love. Love is love. When you see someone in need, do not wait for them to ask for your help. Go help them immediately. Do not wait for them to say thank you. We're not doing this for that. We're doing this to be of service in the kingdom of Yahweh Elohim. That's ultimate compassion. Amitaba, Amitofa. That means compassion in both Chinese and Japanese. Just checking on the screen to see if I could change the little box at the bottom. I don't want to change it. Bavakasha Kati. You're very welcome. Mucho me gusto. It's my pleasure. I'm very thankful that you're here. Very thankful that you spent the time to die to you. So, like I said, we'll pick up again tomorrow, Adon willing. I have a lot of work to do behind the scenes. We're here to serve Allah. We are here to serve Yahweh Elohim. We are here to listen to the guidance of Ravak HaKadosh. We are here to take our walk the same way that Yahashua HaMashiach did. We are here because we were charged to make sure that the true righteous message is heard across the globe, because there are 4 angels and 4 winds waiting to be released. They can't do anything until we are finished with our charge. There's nowhere in any of our scrolls that say we're supposed to just be praying and waiting. All of our scrolls say that a prayer means the same thing as doing work, being active. For those who are sitting back waiting, they are completely missing the mark. Many much love and respect.